So yeah, we're talking about a lot about sort of the intersection of Disney and Marvel and merchandising and you know, superheroes and all that. We talked at the top of the show about how the next two X-Men movies, not counting Deadpool, have been sort of delayed and pushed back. And while we were talking about this, it occurred to us that like, hey, we haven't played a video game with the X-Men in it in a minute.
Yeah, and I think we both grew up playing video games with the X-Men, and it's one of those things, you and I talked about the concept of nostalgia recently. It's one of those things you don't realize it's gone until you kind of look up and you're like, wait a minute, that's right. Yeah. We don't get X-Men games anymore.
We got the trailer for X-Men 2: The Clone Wars, which was, you know, predating Star Wars, but this came out for, you know, Super Nintendo and Sega in I think 1994 or 5. This was only on Sega. This was huge. The game was hard as ass. But yeah, we're looking at like recent games. There's been a ton that people have into. X-Men were a big part of Marvel vs. Capcom up until Infinite, which came out last year. Last year.
Yeah.
And it was all Marvel heroes. It was all like stuff that was kind of under the Disney Marvel umbrella. And at the same time, we got Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. The first one had a ton of X-Men characters in it, and they completely yanked them out. And they were like, oh no, it's more about time travel and weird stuff like that. And it was like, well, I kind of miss the X-Men. I kind of want X-Men in a video game. And I dug into like, when's the last time we got a dedicated X-Men video game? Not counting Marvel Heroes Omega, which was the sort of free-to-play port of a PC game, which got axed.
Yeah, they shut that down.
Yeah, which is a bummer. But the X-Men were in 2 mobile games in 2015. They were in Contest of Champions and another one that was called, I think, like Future Fight. There was an X-Men game called Battle for the Atom that came out in 2014. That's the last time they got a dedicated X-Men in the title game, and that was canceled in under 2 years.
There was the Silicon Knights X-Men game as well.
That was X-Men Destiny, which came out, I think, 2012 or 13, which was just abysmal.
And I remember specifically during like the GameCube, PS2 era, playing the, what was it called?
X-Men Legacy?
Was that the, like
Legacy.
the sort of like top-down, like
X-Men Legends.
Gauntlet style?
Yeah, Legends.
That was a really fun couch co-op game.
Yeah, the first 2 of those were awesome. I think the second one was the first time Deadpool was in a video game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. Those were awesome games. And they also did a good job of kind of scoping. The problem with X-Men and really any superhero team making a video game about it is that you're not just making one protagonist, you're making a bunch of them. So either you make a game where it's like, oh, you switch between, I don't know, 3 of them or something, or you make 6 that are sort of half-assed. I mean, the reason that stuff like Spider-Man and Batman work better as video game characters is that they're one person with a skill set with a bunch of stuff in there.
Right. I think the counterpoint to that is that when I watch the X-Men movies and I'm like not particularly invested in a character like Cyclops or Jean Grey or even Storm, those characters make pretty awesome kind of 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional video game characters because it's kind of just like, it's a cardboard cutout with awesome powers, right? And so like, I don't really care about Cyclops' backstory or his love interest. Like all that's boring to me. Like he's just a dumb character to me. No offense if you love him. But playing him in a video game is awesome because he's a man that runs around shooting lasers from his face and killing Sentinels.
That should be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it sucks because we grew up playing X-Men video games. I'm sure a lot of people did. And then it's just very quietly, they stopped being a thing that exists. And meanwhile, the X-Men movies are kind of in this weird state of like, hey, we're making a new one. It's going to be better than the last one. Sorry, it's going to be late. We're just turning in late. And then, you know, they've been kicking that Gambit movie down the road for I don't even know how long. To say that there's an X-Men cinematic universe is, I feel like, a little bit disingenuous because it's kind of all over the place. And I don't know, at least we're getting a Deadpool movie. There was that Deadpool game, which was pretty fun.
Yeah, it's weird because when we get a new like Lego Avengers game, people are like, where are the X-Men? When we get a new Marvel vs. Capcom, people are like, where are the X-Men? But when you get an X-Men game, nobody goes, where are the Avengers?
Yeah.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because the X-Men are goddamn awesome on their own.
Yep.
And so like, yeah, somebody make a damn X-Men game. I don't know what it has to take. I don't know what you want from an X-Men game. I actually would love a Legend style game where like you and me can team up, play couch co-op, unlock characters, level them up, beat up bad guys, and just go through the world.
Dude, I hate to say it, but give me like a hero shooter type game. That's I
sure.
think the only way it makes sense.
That sounds great.
Jubilee, Mr. Sinister running around just shooting stuff at each other. None of it makes any sense. I don't know, make it like based on like arcade.
Yeah.
Anyway,
let us know what you want from an X-Men game. I know you want an X-Men game because you love X-Men and you love video games, and those things go together perfectly. So why is no one making one?
Yeah.
Unless they are. E3's right around the corner.
I hope they're making one.
You never know. Are X-Men video games dead? That's the question we posed in the headline, and it's clickbait. Maybe they are. Who knows? Let us know. But until then, here are a bunch of actors who were almost X-Men but aren't X-Men. How's that? How's that going to happen? How's that work? but it didn't. And that's why they're not X-Men. They never will be. Maybe someday in their dreams. After that, watch our video about the X-Men animated series. It was on Fox growing up. And if you didn't get pumped and punch a cop when you heard that theme song as a kid, you shouldn't be alive. X-Men rules. So do cartoons. Never grow up. Eat cereal 3 times a day and go to sleep hungry. I love you. Goodbye.